Welcome to Customer Service Academy Radio with author and customer experience expert Tony Johnson. Tony will share his vision for successful customer service, leadership, and business excellence, and speak to some of the most impactful leaders in business today. And now, here's Tony Johnson.
Hello everybody, Customer Service Academy is on the air. I'm Tony Johnson, your customer experience speaker, consultant, and trainer, and today's episode is coming to you courtesy of Ignite Your Service Training and Consulting and 4XI Global Consulting and Solutions. Truly, better together. Folks, as you know, I have the most amazing program, the 6 Canons of Customer Service, ready for you to help take your customer service game to the next level. Head on over to thetonyjohnson.teachable.com to check out the program for yourself and your team today. I will put the link to that in the show notes, so please head on over and take a peek at it today. So just a couple of quick things. So the election is over. As I'm recording this, we are about a week out from the presidential elections and, of course, all the other elections that happened during that time. And once again, a special thanks to Chase Oliver, who was the only presidential candidate to come on the podcast to talk about government customer service. But all that said, tons of change coming, folks. And it's one of those things as leaders, just recognize that some of your team are going to be struggling whenever there's change, regardless of how elections and just change in general shakes out. There are always going to be folks who are going to struggle with it. So I'm not going to dive into the political spectrum here. My dad taught me early on the quickest way to clear the dinner table was to talk about politics or religion. So we're definitely not going to do that. But just know that recognizing the fact that the election has happened, some people are struggling, some people are thrilled, but just knowing that that dichotomy is happening out there in the universe right now, and within your employees, you have folks who are very happy and folks who are very upset, then you got those that really couldn't care less. But just know there could be potential friction. There could be folks that are having trouble dealing with things. This is the time just to lead with empathy, lead with understanding, make sure everybody knows that this is one of those times when we all just have to give each other a little grace, as you say. So just be aware of that. Be aware of what's going on. And good leaders always kind of keep their finger on the pulse to know what's happening. So again, whether folks are struggling or over the moon about it, just try to keep this stuff out of the workplace and try to do the best job you can of just understanding where folks are coming from. You will never go wrong with a little good old-fashioned empathy and understanding. The other thing, too, just as a leadership principle, remember, great leaders never gloat when they win, and they never whine when they lose. They simply ask the most important question of all, what's next, and what are we going to do? So it's really just about understanding where we are, what it's going to mean for your particular business, and getting ready to take action on that. So regardless, again, of how happy or not happy you might be, this is a great time to think about what it's going to mean for your business, for your customer experience, for your employee engagement, and start taking action now so that you're not caught flat-footed. So that's my little tip from me to you coming out of this election season. The other thing to note is that as I'm recording this, we're about 2 weeks away from Halloween having happened. So I'm recording this right in the middle of November. And we just finished about 2 weeks ago going to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but I will tell you, my brother-in-law and I, we went over. We always go over every year. You probably heard me talk about it if you've been listening for any length of time. You've heard me talk about Halloween Horror Nights, and it was a great night. I will tell you, this is one of those moments, though, if you've ever had a brand that you really love, and there are a couple out there I'm concerned about in the world, but if you had something that you really love and it's very familiar and you sort of developed a tradition around it and you think you know what to expect, and then things start to not deliver in the way they normally do, sometimes it can take you back for a second. Now, I will tell you, we still had an amazing time. We did the RIP tour. You heard that right. Their version of the VIP tour is the RIP tour. It was great. And like always, the haunted houses had a great theme. They did a fantastic job with thinking them through. They really thought about kind of using property that's sort of their IP and then some new original stories. And as always, very well themed, very detail oriented. So the folks that put in a lot of hard work every year on Halloween Horror Nights, y'all delivered again this year. So well done there. Now, I will say, has it lost a step this year? Yeah, I think so. Thinking back to what I'm used to, the RIP tour, we had someone doing it for the very first time. She was great. She was very friendly. She did the best she could. Did she need a little more training and seasoning? Yeah, probably. Should they probably have done sort of maybe an ambassador program or a coaching program where maybe they observed someone do it or did it with them or assisted or sort of had a buddy system for their first year? You've probably seen that sometimes in restaurants when you see a server sort of shadowing a server while they're getting their eyes in and learning how to be a great server. So maybe a little more of that. I don't purport to know what their training program was, but absolutely there was an opportunity there for this person who, very nice, very knowledgeable, but probably needed a little more seasoning. Just the way they sort of zigzagged us through the houses. There wasn't a lot of plan there. We missed a bar stop along the way. That's the nice part about the RIP tour. Now, I hear what you're saying, right? I'm whining about having missed a bar stop when we had a great tour guide. I hear you. But with the investment folks make, there's a certain level of service you're looking for. And the fact that we missed one of our bar stops, we didn't get to go to one of the best ones, this rooftop where you can kind of look down and see the whole event, super good. We missed that one. By the time we got back for our second run through the buffet area, everything had closed. So there were just some little things that they actually added some really, really great spirits and bourbon to their bars for this year, which was fantastic. However, they actually ran out about 3/4 of the way through the event. So again, really nice that they were thinking about upgrading some of the experience points, but you got to get it right all the way to the finish line. Now, again, they did a great job with the overall theming. The scare zones themselves, where they've got scare actors and stuff, they kind of took a step back this year. Some of the houses where the scare actors hide started to become a little predictable. So it probably is a good time for Universal Studios to take that step back and say, okay, so we've been doing this for a while. We've got decades worth of experience here. What do we need to change up to continue to keep it interesting? Now, I would tell you, there's no doubt that we are going to go ahead and buy the RIP experience next year. Nothing could stop us from doing that. But I'm just thinking through trying to stay a step ahead of all the other theme parks, especially where I live here in the Orlando area, very, very densely packed with tourist attractions, theme parks, the whole bit. Trying to stay ahead of the competition is what I'm thinking about, because think about it, if you got a brand that you love, you want them to win. I want Universal to win. So again, I'm probably being a little bit persnickety, as my grandmother would have said, but I also think that if you're not thinking that way, you will find yourself falling behind, even if you've owned the market forever. There's a reason why Disney keeps continuing to think about how they're going to compete with Universal. There's a reason why Chick-fil-A continues to double down on great service when they see Slim Chickens and Raising Cane's and all these other brands in their rearview mirror. Because if you don't, you will look up one day and realize that someone has lapped you. So again, just throwing it out that way. I think it's a cautionary tale just to be aware of. So again, wanted to touch on the election, wanted to touch on Halloween Horror Nights. Again, great experience. There is some room for improvement there, but also I will tell you, I am buying a ticket next year for sure. It is an every year tradition. They still did a super great job. So all that said, with that looking forward, we've had the chance to talk about the election, had a chance to talk about Halloween. We are in the holiday season, if you will. We are in that time of year. I don't know about you, but when it gets to be right around October, right around the beginning of October, it starts to get kind of fun, because you can start decorating for Halloween, and then you're into Thanksgiving, and then no matter what you celebrate, there are tons of things happening then in that December and January time period. So really from kind of the 1st of October through that first week of January, it's a lot of time with family, a lot of time with friends, a lot of social gatherings, just a chance to catch up and take stock. So I always enjoy this time of year. And again, depending on how you celebrate, there's probably things that you enjoy doing as well. For me, it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, but there's tons of stuff that's happening. So, please take this opportunity, I think, to take that breath, to slow down, and to think about how you can reconnect with people. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit today, this idea of connection, this idea of customer service, this idea of you're coming into the holiday home stretch. So if you are a business that really starts to thrive this time of year, that really comes alive, and this is sort of your big time of year, be thinking about kind of these 10 things plus a bonus that you can do to get ready for the holiday season. Because again, as I'm recording this, we are just smack dab in the middle of November. It's 2 weeks to Thanksgiving and about a month and a half to Christmas. So just be thinking about what you can do to really drive it home. And a lot of restaurants, retail, big box, hotels, tourism, you're probably really ramping up for a big part of your year right now. So the first part, are you ready? That's the question to ask yourself. Is your staff ready? Are you ready? Is it go time? So think about whatever that means from a pre-holiday training perspective. You could be in tourism, you could be in travel, You may work for the airlines, you may work for a hotel, you may work for a restaurant, a bar, a retail location, you may work for a coffee shop, but whatever it is you do, is your team ready? Is your team ready for whatever seasonal products you're going to have? What are your policies going to be happening during this time of year? Are you going to have extra hours? Are your teams ready for the holiday push? And are they ready to drive with empathy and understanding in this holiday season? Have you looked at your schedules? You know, the number of folks I see sometimes that get caught flat-footed and have not thought about their schedules. Well, I'll tell you, it's one of those things you've got to get it right. This is blocking and tackling, folks. So make sure that if you have changed your hours, this is going to sound really simple. This is going to sound like one of those really simple things. But have you taken the time to look at your schedules if you've changed your hours? Are you open extra days, extra hours? Have you added on folks in shifts where you know you're going to be busy? If you're a retail outlet, hopefully you've done that Black Friday schedule and you know that you're going to be busy. Have you looked at a way to support your locations? And by that I mean, have you ordered your restock? Do you have all of the things that you're going to need to restock, whatever your product or service is? Do you have the items you need? Does your team have the tools? Have you ordered your back stock? Do you have a way to ensure that your shelves stay full, for lack of a better word? Now, that could be a virtual shelf. It could be a shelf in an actual store. But have you thought about that? And have you thought about how you're going to get your team their breaks, their time off, all the things they need so that you can make sure that they're well taken care of? And not for nothing, you don't want to get stuck with a bunch of overtime if you have a lot of hourly employees. So just ensuring that you've really thought that through. It's a good time to start pre-boosting morale because you're going to be super busy. And if you need seasonal staff, some folks, you know, if you work in big box retail, you're probably already thinking about that seasonal staff. Have you hired them? Have you selected them? Are you bringing in people with good attitudes? Now is the time. Get them in early, get them trained, get them ready to rock and roll. Okay, so ensure that you are ready for go time. Have you looked at your omni-channel? Now, I know I talk about omni-channel experience quite a bit, but think about how everything fits together. Have you looked at how your shopping cart works? Have you looked at your shipping? Have you looked at, are you going to do curbside pickup? All of those things are really important. If you have a chat feature, does it automatically forward them into a real live person if they need it? If you're doing SMS texting and you've got that set up for autopilot, does it know when to reroute to a live human being? All of those kind of things. And if a live person does pick up, are they able to see what happened before they jump in so they don't have to ask the person to repeat themselves over and over again? Because if you're anything like me, that drives me absolutely crazy as a customer. So make sure that you're set there. Now also, have you thought about returns? Because this holiday season, there are a lot of retailers that are rethinking their return structure. So honestly, if you're thinking about a rethink there in terms of how people can return things and what does refund look like and all of that, this is a good year to think about it because you're going to be in good company because a lot of folks are doing that. Now, that said, you've got to be straightforward with folks. What does that return policy look like? How is it changing? What does it mean? Is it clearly explained and clearly posted? And is it obvious as all get out for folks? Because you've got to make sure of that. Do people have live support options? Or do you have help desks? Do you have places people can call in and ask questions? If you are a brick and mortar store, when people walk in, is there someone staffing the quote unquote customer service desk when they walk in? All of those kind of things. Are you personalizing at scale? That's the next big question. Are you using all that great data that you've got from your customers, your guests, and your consumers to create targeted, personalized holiday offers? Are you doing that outreach in a way that isn't just a cookie cutter note out, but truly something that feels like it was just for me? And when folks come into your location, are you doing a good job of making sure that what your customers want is what you're offering them? And also, have you thought about the stuff they haven't thought of so that you can offer them that as well? Because this is the time to really think about that true customer journey, what they're going to need, and how easy, how effortless can you make it? Because think about it, holidays are stressful enough. So the easier you can make it, the more they're going to love you. This idea of speed and convenience. Now, I just mentioned keeping things easy, right? So this is hand in hand. This is hand in glove, if you will. So think about how you're going to set up your point of sale system, or POS, if you will. I still always come back to the Apple Store on this. I think the fact that really the point of sale is wherever the associate meets the guest, I think that is fantastic. So think about this whole idea of mobile checkout. Think about this idea of not just self-service checkout, but can you set up these mobile point of sale, these portable point of sales that can kind of go up and down and add in more as needed as your business flexes throughout the holiday season? And not for nothing, if you can get to a point where folks can just check you out right there where you are, that is an amazing thing. People do love that. Having express lanes for very small purchases, I would tell you that is always a lifesaver when I go into someplace like a Target or a Walmart and they know that people are making these huge purchases. So you have people with just carts and carts full of stuff, and I happen to wander in and I just needed a roll of wrapping paper or something. Boy, to have to stand behind those folks with just cartfuls of stuff, that is always a bummer. So, the idea of the self-service or the idea of the checkout lanes for small purchases, that's a very cool thing. Customers absolutely love that. Keep your signage, just tight. Keep it tight. No handwritten signs, professional signage, but also make sure that your wayfinding, as they call it, or your directional signage, does it get people to what they need very easily, and is it understandable, and can you really make sure that folks understand what they're seeing? I'll tell you, I'm talking to you kind of home improvement here. Now, I'm not a home improvement guy. I really struggle with it. But when I walk into someplace, these big box home improvement stores, I will look up and I just have to think twice as I look at the headers at each aisle. I'm like, what is in that aisle, right? I'm looking for a screwdriver. Where does that live? And just, really understanding what the signage says, and does it speak to your customers in a way that's going to be meaningful to them? Because it doesn't matter if you understand it, your customers have to be able to understand it. And then think about things like store hours, expedited shipping, how do you get people stuff on time, do you extend hours, all of those kind of things. So just be thinking about what that means for your customers, and as it gets closer to the holidays and as there becomes a crunch, they're going to need even more grace and even more time. So what can you do to help them with that? The other part about that, we've talked about customer understanding a couple of times, but just understand the holidays are amazing, but the holidays are also very stressful. So just be aware that empathy and understanding and anticipation are going to be so crucial. So again, the messaging we just talked about, look at it from their point of view, not yours. Let your team know too, right? Make sure that they're set to understand the fact that some customers struggle around the holidays. Some people get really stressed out. We all feel like we just don't have enough time sometimes, and then the holidays sometimes exacerbate that even more. So, teaching your team how to diffuse these moments, how to be understanding during those moments, how to do a little bit of mini conflict resolution or diffuse stressful situations, really important, and to really exercise teamwork with each other as well behind the scenes. Find ways to add in seating or refreshments, entertaining music, anything to really help keep people's energy up and help them feeling great and help them feel enthusiastic about the holidays. People love that stuff. Create the list of FAQs that may help folks actually solve their own problems. That's frequently asked questions, FAQs, making sure that folks can find the information they need on their own. A lot of times, folks actually are happy to go find their own information as long as they know where and how to do it. And the other thing to really keep holiday stress down, again, I will probably say this 3 more times, how easy, how simplified can you make the buying process so you can be super easy and hassle-free to do business with? Think about proactive service recovery. So think about that. Think about issues that might be happening in real time. Do role playing with your team. Help them be problem solvers. Think about how you help them with that decision queuing and really how to be curious, how to solve problems, and how to really think things through. Because if they have to come to you every single time, you are going to drive yourself crazy by the end of the holiday season. So make sure that you have talked to your team, practiced and role played how to solve customer problems, and then empower them to do that, because that is going to be a really great way that they can just take care of problems. Let them know what they're empowered to do. Let them know how they can solve customer problems. Let them know if they're authorized to give special deals or discounts if things go wrong. Just whatever your process is, make sure that they are experts at it so that they can really execute service recovery. Just be ready for it. Recognize and celebrate those most loyal of customers. This is a fantastic time coming into the holidays. People are creatures of habit. They will often frequent what they know best. We all probably first are really excited for the Black Friday deals on Amazon, for example. And I think now they've got like Black Friday week, because it's just such a big deal. But understanding who are your most loyal customers and really create those exclusive offers for them, really lean into your loyalty program. Maybe it's a great time to think about surprise and delight for your best customers, or even just surprise and delight moments for folks frequenting your brick and mortar. It's just a nice time to go a little bit above and beyond for folks. It could also be a chance to maybe offer premium shipping or a discount or something for your very, very premium customers, those that you really depend on as you continue to build their customer lifetime value. And again, it could be as simple as complimentary gift wrapping. Those little things like that go a very long way. And then just make sure your customers feel valued regardless of whether they're your biggest customer or your smallest customer. Make sure everyone feels valued. And it's a great chance to use people's names, to make recommendations that feel personalized just for them. However you can make people feel special, it's always a great time, but now this is an amazing time. So the next piece is creating that festive atmosphere. So it's a great chance to get the whole team involved, to look at that sort of tasteful seasonal decor. Great chance to do that. A chance to have kind of that cheery but not overwhelming or overbearing music. You could look at interactive photo booths. You could look at pop-up events like hot cocoa giveaways. You could really look at ways to partner with local charities or local nonprofits during the holiday season. All of these things come together to create community. That's really what we're doing. Now, we don't want to do anything that's going to make folks feel excluded or awkward or anything like that, but if you have the chance to really find a way to bring that sort of spirit of the season in, and that looks differently for every organization and every business, but as you find ways to bring that in, engage your team with it, get the community involved, what a great way to just, again, herald in the season. And then finally, measure and adjust. So every year is a chance for us to reinvent ourselves and to continue to get better. So whether it's QR codes, whether it's intercept surveys, whether they're quote unquote table touches, however you can hear your customers and get them to fill out a little bit of data. And I get it, they are surveyed to death. So your best bet's going to be to ask questions as best you can. Even doing it live, even doing that live question and answer with someone, the old, I've got a clipboard and I'm walking around the store talking to guests and customers, that still works. So it's harder to get folks than ever to fill out a survey, but if you can have a conversation with them, you can learn so very much. Look at your sales data. And again, that's something you should be doing now too, looking back on last year's sales data to make decisions for this year. And after this year, analyze it to start planning for next year. And also along the way, you're going to hear things. You're going to get feedback. You're going to get in the moment stuff. And let's just all be honest here. Customers are much more likely to fill out something when something goes wrong than they are when something goes right. So if you get that customer feedback that you had a service miscue, jump right in and take action to fix it. Fix it before it sticks. Fix it before they can tell all their friends, and fix it before you lose a loyal customer. So take that chance to jump in and kind of turn that moment of woe, into a real positive thing that builds loyalty, because you're listening, you're iterating, you're making changes as needed, and you're fixing problems. And then track social media. Keep an eye on that. Encourage folks to post with a hashtag. Encourage them to post pictures from your location. Encourage them to interact and engage with your brand. What a wonderful time to get people super engaged with you and your company. And then do those holiday check-ins with your customers, watch that feedback, continue to improve this season, and start to already think about what you're going to do differently next year. But also, what goes really, really well, you want to make sure you do again next year. So just think about measuring and adjusting and learning and using data to drive your decision-making, not just your gut instinct, although your gut's probably pretty good. So those are the 10 pieces. Those are the 10 ideas for this holiday season as you gear up. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus here. This is the bonus piece. So make sure that you keep an eye on your team. So rewarding and celebrating your team is so very important. It is a stressful time of year if you have cashiers and folks that are working on the sales floor, folks that are working online and that are doing the call center and contact center. This is a busy, busy time. Now, they also have their own families they're taking care of. They're also trying to celebrate the holidays, but they're probably also working a lot of hours in your business because it's that time of year. So think about the daily recognition you're going to give them. Think about that daily motivation and having those pre-shift huddles with them every day to communicate and really share what's going on. Use the on-the-spot rewards. There's nothing better than a little quick win right there. And again, I don't know whether it's movie tickets or lottery tickets or gift cards, whatever that something is, just be sure that you do the right thing with tracking for tax purposes. But all that said, make sure you find little daily ways to say thank you. And then when it's all over, think about how you get people time off. So you should be trying to make sure people still get their time off now. But in reality, they're probably going to be working extra days, probably some overtime, all that kind of stuff. How will you spell them once the holidays are over? Once you get that chance to breathe again, although take care of them now too. They need to get their breaks, need to get their time off, all of those things. But once you're through the holidays, how are you going to reward them? How are you going to celebrate them? How are you going to thank them? How are you going to spell them so that they can relax and take a breath and reload themselves? All of those have to be things you're thinking about. And then finally, there's nothing better, I don't think, with this whole reward and recognition piece than personalized thank you notes. I know I hear you, my Gen X is showing probably when I say stuff like that, but I am still a huge fan of writing out handwritten notes, putting them in the mail and mailing them to people's houses and saying, thank you so much for all the work you put in this holiday season. You are appreciated. And then make sure that you list as best you can little personalized mentions for each person, because you know how I feel about saying thanks for all you're doing. Try not to do that. And then get that personalized handwritten note in the mail to them. So when New Year's hits and they're opening their mail on January 2nd or 3rd, that amazing note from you shows up, that's going to feel really, really good to them. So just know that will go a long way. So it's a busy time. Wishing you all the very best of luck. Make sure that you keep this idea of customer experience center stage, because you may not only have old hands coming in, your most loyal customers, you may also have folks trying you for the very first time during this holiday season. You want to make sure they have an exemplary experience with you during this very emotional time of year, this very important time of year for folks, because that's going to make you really sticky as a business that people want to do business with again and again because you took really good care of them during this really important time of year. So turn up the dial on hospitality, turn up the dial on ease of use, turn up the dial on personalization, and make sure you deliver with quality. And then when it's all said and done, and during, but especially after, take great care of your team and lead with gratitude and understanding through the holiday season. So as we come to the finish line here, I want to remind you that everything we're talking about here is really comes to life in my book, Together We Serve. So head on over to Amazon.com and check out my book, Together We Serve by Tony Johnson. You can get it on audiobook, you can get it on paperback, you can get it on ebook. So head on over. It actually makes a really great gift. It's a great boss gift, great gift for your team. You can buy some copies, put a little note in the front and give them out. But again, it makes a great gift for business colleagues as well. So head on over to Amazon right now and order a copy for yourself, your friends, and anyone on your Christmas list this year. So folks, that is our show. And remember, there is no better time to start building loyalty and advocacy with customers than during the holidays. So make sure you deliver with high quality and high hospitality, and I can guarantee you they will be back in the new year. So until next time, I've been Tony Johnson, your customer experience strategist and trainer, reminding you to keep your customers and your employees at the center of everything you do, because that's where the most amazing things are possible. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will talk to you next week.
This has been Customer Service Academy Radio with Tony Johnson. Tony is available to speak at your event, meeting, or workshop. Have a powerful customer-focused day.